Looks like we're live. We're going to have to wait for people to come in. We'll get some comments. We'll have some fun. Hopefully you guys can hear me. That'll be good. So for those of you listening and weren't able to catch the live, I don't know if this is going to be an every Friday thing, but now we got 2 Fridays in a row. It is the Hobby with Cage, Coffee with Cage, a special Q&A episode live. And we'll wait for folks to come in. I put a little feeler out there for folks today. I let everybody know. I gave 10, 12 hour notice. Hey, you can ask me some questions. Let's go. What's up, the trading card hobby? And I did. I got a lot of really good questions from folks who were asking here. Undercards 4 asked whether or not I thought that Tim Duncan might actually become more relevant since Wemby is most likely going to be a Spur. Something along the lines of, if Wemby's all world, he's compared to Tim Duncan, and Tim Duncan won't be forgotten. It's funny. What's up, Cage Laurie Minion? Love the name. I got a Cage Laurie Minion in the chat. Minion. I got Ian with me over here, by the way. Say hi, Ian. He'll come back into the fold once we get more than 10 people in here. I talked about Tim Duncan this week on the show. I love the guy. I think he's fantastic. Ian says, in answer to the question, who's going to the NBA Finals, he says Miami and Denver. But I don't know whether or not I agree with this. We'll see. But so on the Duncan, I'm selling Duncan cards. I sold one for a loss. I got another one that's up on eBay now. Probably sell that one for a loss, just because it's one of those lessons learned. Tim Duncan's awesome. Top 15 player of all time. He'll probably be a little more relevant now with Wemby, but he just doesn't have that fan base. He doesn't have that, following. And a lot of retired guys don't. I mean, you could probably name on one hand, guys who retired in the last 20, 30 years who have a collector base. Obviously, it starts with Kobe. People are crazy for Kobe and Jordan. And now, you're talking about GOATs there, like all-time GOATs. Karl Malone was a great player, never won a championship. Karl Malone was a great player, who scored a lot of points. People don't really collect him. Charles Barkley, unless it's the tippy top, best cards, the number 90 stuff, the PMGs, people don't really collect him, even though he's a fantastic player. I think Duncan's kind of going to fall into that area. Do you want to tell people why you think it's going to be the Heat and the Nuggets? Because
you said Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, they're on the same team.
But I think he's saying, which one would you rather collect, or which one are you a bigger fan of?
Personally, I don't think most people agree with this, but I am a fan of Jamal Murray because...
Come here, stick your head in.
I just like him better than Jokic.
You like Murray, so you're a fan of Murray, even though he plays zero defense.
Exactly.
All right.
Neither does Jokic.
Jokic, I mean, he's not good on the inside defense. So it's funny. I started off with a question. I was going to wait to 10 people to come into the live. We got 9. Hopefully, we'll cheat with one. We started off with the Duncan question because Ian and I do Friday opens, and this is a quick one. We can do that right then there. Jamal Murray's very nice. He's a bucket. This is a Bowman Inception. I don't like to do crazy breaks live because you guys want questions and answers and the whole deal. And, breaks are a different animal. But I think this box only has 7 cards in it. I think it's just one pack in the box. Yeah. And what are we looking for in this, pal?
Wembanyama.
Looking for Wembanyama, right? So that's the key here. So you want to go get a knife or something to open this up with? Manny, we got a little Bowman U. Please feel free to ask questions, guys. Throw them up in the chat there. Ian had Jersey Day today. Check out his jersey. I'm gonna bite this. We got a little throwback Jordan jersey today. He wears a jersey. When was the last time he didn't wear a jersey to school? Like Thanksgiving?
I think it was like November 7th.
November, before Thanksgiving. He's worn a jersey to school every day, this kid. So
actually, February, because that's pajama day.
Oh, pajama day was one day they took off. So his teacher says to everybody, all right, it's Jersey Day in school, and except for you, Ian, it's just regular day for you. So that's pretty funny. Okay, so we got this here. Pal, you gonna do the honors? You're gonna open this up when I figure out how to get this box open?
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. Try to do it on camera here.
Probably won't.
Here you go. 1 pack. Jamal Murray rookie cards to the moon, huh? Okay, maybe. So this is Bowman Inception. I'm pretty sure this just came out either today or yesterday. And we're looking. No, it's a multi-sport. It's a multi-sport. So the fact that you got CJ Stroud numbered right in the front there is not a bad thing. I mean, it's not the auto, but I'll show him here. So there's a Stroud Looks like a base card number to
Not
199.
the guy who always dies in South Park.
The guy who dies in South Park. Let me see. Let me see who that is. Kenny McIntosh. That is an auto.
JJ Starling.
A basketball auto is not who we wanted. It's JJ Starling out of 99. That looks like everything. Sorry, pal.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb is good. It's Caleb Williams. It's the QB for USC. These looks like base
Jordan
cards.
Walsh.
Jordan Walsh.
Bryce Young.
Got a Bryce Young base. That's pretty cool.
And Drew Timmy.
And Drew Timmy.
Timmy!
There you go. All right. So we did not get a Wembanyama, guys. We do this on purpose. You know, you want to. Not every box is going to have a Victor Wembanyama in it. Sorry. He's not happy here. That's the best product ever. Yeah. Sure is. Anyway, 185 for the box, in case anybody is curious how much that one was.
Jersey Day, I'm going to fly over the teacher and the whole class.
I'm quite certain.
No, it was the whole school and the whole district.
I'm quite certain that we did not get $185 back there. But hey, what's up, Tim? San Francisco Giants. Go ahead, guys. Feel free. Throw some questions out there. I've already answered one about what's going to happen with Tim Duncan. Does he remain relevant? I got a couple of other ones, out there if you guys want me to throw some questions. I have one really good one. It was, as of right now, rookies with Prism cards have more value than their Topps Chrome rookies. But in 5 years, do you think that'll flip when Fanatics officially releases Topps Chrome NFL or basketball again? Also, will the only relevant Panini rookie be Prism? So thank you very much for the question. Adventures of a Family Man, Dad Ton 55. I like the question. And it requires you to kind of think forward and look at what happened in the past, right? It's interesting, right? If Prism doesn't survive the switch over the way that Topps Chrome didn't, and we switch back to Topps Chrome from Prism, does the pendulum swing? Chrome was the thing, right? People wanted Chrome before Prism. So interesting stuff there, right? I mean, if it follows suit, if Topps Chrome is the thing, right? Then maybe the Panini products take a hit. The second part of the question, I do believe, that was a leading question, but I do believe that Prism for base rookies, I'm not talking about RPAs, but for rookie cards, for the collector cards, I think Prism is going to be it for this Panini era. You really don't see people talking about the other stuff. Select, for a minute there, people were talking about it, and then they kind of ruined it by, retail and having all the different parallels and craziness that was in that. So I do believe that if Prism is done, when Topps starts coming out with Chrome products again, Panini Prism will be the only relevant one. I don't really think people are going to really care much about the other stuff. That's a little scary because I know a lot of people have spent a lot of money on, Optic and Select and the other products that are out there. Bedard's a phenomenon, Ziggy. I see your question there. Upper Deck introducing 1-on-1 to the flagship next year. I think that's fantastic. Bedard, I don't know if you watched, but once his team got him, once they got, the lottery where you're able to, it's not the same as the NBA, but once they got the rights to draft him, they sold something like $7 million in season tickets in the first 48 hours that he was on there. I mean, more than they're going to pay him on his rookie deal for the year. Hasn't been this kind of excitement about a hockey prospect, universally, thought of as the number one pick in a while. He also, he's put up some gaudy goal numbers, in the year he's draft eligible. They were comparing him to like Fedorov. They were comparing him to, Lemieux, guys who were just, having great years, which it's good. I mean, an Upper Deck putting 1-on-1 in, that's great. You know what I mean? 1-on-1 is always the chase. People are always looking to get that 1-of-1. In UFC, I pulled a ton of 1-on-1s just because there wasn't a lot of product. And, they were putting out, an out of 1, an out of 8, an out of 99, and like an out of 288. That was all there were. There were a million different parallels. So I was able to get a lot of 1-on-1s. Plus, I was also opening a lot of product. Ian and I on other sports, we don't really hit too many one-on-ones. I mean, we got a nice Luke Kuechly one-of-one the other day, but other than that, you don't really hit them. But it's always the chase. It's always what you want. So I love the question, and yeah, Bedard, he's going to be a huge chase. It reminds me, it's funny. Sometimes people pan out, sometimes people don't, and even when they do, I mean, it's a great question to kind of tie in with Wembanyama. Even when they do, it's hard to pan out um, as much as people want them to. Like I remember in 1992 when Shaq came out, people were chasing his cards and it expanded out to I never watched hockey. I wasn't a hockey fan, but Timu Solane was the big rookie the following year for Upper Deck hockey. And people, when packs came out, were like, all right, well, we were just opening packs to chase Shaq. We might as well open packs now to chase Timu Solane's cards, even though we had never watched him play and didn't know anything about him. And he didn't live up to the hype that he had, coming into the league, but he was a great player. So lots of fun stuff there. Uber Collector. Do you think the older Prism Silvers and Rainbows will equate to the older refractors? For example, 2012 Prism to a 93 Finest refractor. I think there's a lot of similarities there. I really do, Uber Collector. I think that's a great comparison because it's the first set. You know what I mean? And I think that 93 Prism, 93 Finest refractor, it comes very favorably to that. The 2012 Prism, sort of like the 96 Chrome. You know what I mean? Those are those first years for something that was entered into the hobby. That I think that there's a little more collectability for those firsts that are out there. I think the 2012 Prism set and the silvers from that set will ultimately hold a place, sort of like the Finest refractors. What dooms all three of the cards that I just talked about are no numbers. We could say they're rarer. We could say the production number is ramped up. I've even heard of a production number for 1993 Finest Refractor Baseball of 241 refractors per card, with some of them being short printed. But even that is not a known quantity. They're not numbered. 2012 Prism Silvers are not numbered. No silvers are numbered unless you're talking about Panini Digital. So it's an interesting thing there. That may hold it back. Think about 2018 silvers. Remember for a while there, about a year and a half ago, Tom Brady silver was selling for a crazy number. His 2018 Prism silver, I think it sold for over $20,000. And people were talking about how there just weren't a lot of them. Not enough printed that year. The silvers in 2018 were really hard silvers. And then all of a sudden, if you look at the chart, it just tanked right back down, So you kind of need that number on it for people to know what's out there. It's just my take on silvers and refractors. The way the hobby is today, 90s inserts are awesome. I love scoring kings in basketball. I love hot gloves in baseball. But PMGs are always going to kill both of those, even though I personally don't like them, because there's a finite number and it's a known finite number. People see the number. It's on the back. They know how many of them are out there. And that kind of, they put that under their pillow, collectors, and let them, sleep well at night. Lefko, congratulations to Lefko. You're in the chat. I am lucky enough to have an autograph card from you already. You sent me a nice little personalized note. After we had you on the show, I got a little, inscription on the card. I still have it. It's one I will never sell. I'll try to get it graded maybe now that your autograph is pretty well known out there, but congrats on getting a card. It is something that as a kid, I always thought I would be able to do. Like you, I don't have the athletic chops to do it. It's our golden voices that will ultimately get us on cards. I will follow in your footsteps one day, even if it has to be a Panini Tiger Stripe parallel. I'm going to get a card. But congratulations, man. Seriously, that's an awesome thing. Drake's here. You can ask whatever questions you like, man. I got some Peyton Mannings with me here. Maybe I'll pull them out and show you. Ziggy, did I see Tracy Hackler is back at Panini? Seems like they are reloading to compete against Fanatics. Interesting. It was an interesting. I love Tracy. And I love a lot of the Panini guys that are now at Fanatics. Honestly, it's going to be fun to see how it plays out. If I'm allowed to be honest and let's call it a little controversial, there are going to be some changes. There are definitely going to be some changes, whether it's in the auction space, the vaulting space. I don't know what's going to happen with PWCC. Honestly, no idea. If I had a dollar for every rumor I heard in the last couple of weeks about PWCC, I'd have a lot of dollars, a lot of dollars. And I know that almost every grading company wants to be in the vaulting business, and collectors has kind of started off this model, right? Where they have the grading with PSA, they have the auctioning with Golden, and they have the vaulting, the collector's vault. And I think that's kind of the model that, companies are going to be looking at. I think Fanatics will be chasing that, whether they do it on their own or whether they do it on, by acquiring someone or more than one someone. Where Fanatics is looking, like to take another leap is that Fanatics Live, the live selling they're doing, which I don't think Collectors has. I mean, they have plenty of selling, but it's through the Golden Marketplace, and I don't think they have a live yet. I think they have just weekly auctions. Ziggy, I know you love the hobby, man. I followed Dutch Oven Bowman auction today. That's pretty funny. I think you're talking about the Dutch auction. Dutch Oven's kind of gross. It's a funny little joke. I make those too. But I did follow that. It's interesting to see. A lot of people aren't noting that. I might sneak it into my news for the week. That was something that Panini did, right? Panini did the kind of reverse Dutch auctions, the price going down, you name it. The first time I remember seeing it, believe it or not, before Josh Luber did it with the V Friends and stuff, which we're not allowed to talk about. It's like saying Voldemort in a Harry Potter book. I saw it at StockX. StockX actually did a Bowman release. It was Bowman Chrome X 2019. Tatis was the chase in that. And they had cards PSA slabbed, either a PSA 9 or a 10, numbered to 99. They were a green border in a Bowman Chrome X. And it was the same kind of thing. It was one of these kind of like blind auctions. It's fun to see. I don't know what the right answer is, Ziggy, as far as which way to do it. I love that these companies are all trying it out, though, because it's more of a direct to consumer model, right? And if it gets done the right way, it's putting product in the hands of the people who want it at a price point that people are willing to pay. And if they start off too high, it's going to drop before people pay. I still worry about kind of bots and the like on a lot of these things, but listen, I'm all for manufacturer selling it and the price dropping until people are willing to pay for it. So let's see. Just bought a Giants prospect gold shimmer first order out of 50 for $60, and he just got called up. Good for you. That's pretty awesome. I hope he turns into the next. I don't know who's the best Giant. I mean, I'd say Barry Bonds, but I don't want him doing PEDs, right? So I don't even know who's great on the Giants now. But who was it? Who was the prospect? Was it somebody that I know? The last Giants prospect I remember seeing cards for was Luciano, but Joey Bart. I don't think Luciano's on that team anymore. So loads of fun there. Panini introduced Dutch Oven in Zion year. It's lazy. They could do lotteries like other. All right. Tim, the Giant fan. I don't know, man. That I think you might be trolling me with that name. I don't know if I'm going to say it out loud. Brian McConnell, Cage shows great with just you. What happened to Andrew? Nothing. Andrew's around. He started posting in the last couple of days. You can probably check out his page. In life, things just kind of run their course, Brian, and I'm out here doing questions on my own. I might have to change it though. I have to call it, maybe a Coke Zero. I think that was Uber Collector's idea. Do a Coke Zero with Cage instead of coffee. Casey Snitch, Joe knows. All right, so it's another Harry Potter reference there. You got a golden snitch. Congratulations on that one. You gotta love it. Wembanyama, man. A lot of questions came in about Victor Wembanyama. I wish I would have pulled the card. I wish I would have gotten his card there. That would have been awesome to do that and open it up on the live. So a question we got here. One question that I got about Wembanyama was, take a look at the Sports Illustrated Victor. Well, they spelled Wembanyama great. Discuss if you bought it in January, like I recommended. This is right here. Manny is the GOAT Global. And if you didn't, is it a buy today, or how do you go buy this? The full magazine, raw, cut, graded? Thanks. It's a great question. And it's funny because I had to think about this now myself, because I recommended this card. You got to get in on the ground floor. Exactly. I recommended this card when it first came out. The Sports Illustrated for kids, the card is there. Go out and get it, and people were buying them. People were paying, $5, $10, $15 for the card. Someone actually, I try not to buy when I give the recommendation because I know you guys are going to run out and buy them, and I don't want to be competing with you. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to go out and buy 5 of them and scoop up all the ones on eBay. So I never actually bought one for myself, which I hope you don't take as lack of confidence in the play. If you recommend something, you should have some skin in the game. I get that, but I never want to be competing with you guys when I say, hey, go out there and this I think is a good buy. I don't want to be running the price up on you. Someone was nice enough to actually mail me one because I said I didn't buy it. I never got my hands on one. Someone mailed me a whole magazine, and I have it still sealed. The magazine. I haven't even looked at it yet. I haven't looked because it's in the package. I know what it is. It's in like a priority mail envelope. I didn't. Open it and take it out, so I don't know how the centering is on the card. And the question is, should I keep it in the sheet? Should I keep the magazine the way that it is? Should I open it? What should we do? And I think it's going to depend on what the card looks like. If it's a relatively centered card, I might take it out and take my chances grading it. If it's off centered, I might grade the whole page or just keep it as a magazine. The only other one I have like this is Lewis Hamilton has a, I think it's 2009. He's got a Sports Illustrated for kids also. And I have the magazine of that. I think it has Cole Hamels on the cover of the Sports Illustrated for Kid magazine. I've kept that. So I now have 2 of those kind of sitting there. Zig, do you think rookie quarterbacks will sign for Panini this weekend? It's the rookie premiere. We should know soon if they're exclusive to Fanatics. I am 99% sure that Stroud and Bryce Young, at the very least, have Fanatics deals. And you could take a look at, I think it was this week, there was a post by Michael Rubin talking about how they had some of the young Fanatics guys taking lessons, being spoken to by the GOATs, and Tom Brady was there. So there's a picture of, Brady, and he's talking to Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. So I have a feeling that they're not going to be signing for Panini. I think that's part of Fanatics' plan, right? Now that won't matter initially, right? Because most people buy Prism. They're not buying it for the autographs. I know that's a key, and obviously that is a big value add. When you're opening a box of Prism, you can get the base cards, the numbered cards, the parallels, and also the autographs of those players. Where it'll really impact is if you're buying Flawless or National Treasures, or even Immaculate. What's up, Charles? And those products don't have RPAs of the top QBs. That's going to be real interesting. The price point on those is going to be very interesting. Because if the guys aren't allowed to sign, that's going to be, you're 100% right. Upcoming year or two now, it's going to be fun with licensing battles for autos. It's definitely going to be interesting to see. And we'll know soon. We'll know sooner than later. Obviously, they have cards. I saw a CJ Stroud card come out of the box that we just opened here. Ziggy, I don't know the answer because I don't have the contract. I don't know if it's exclusive to sports cards, not sports cards. And if you want to ask questions, please shoot. Anybody can ask questions. Right now, Ziggy's on fire with some really good questions. I'll answer all of them. It is a very good question, and I don't know the answer. I don't know, what their deal is. I didn't see their contract. I think with the amount of money that I heard being paid, although everybody gets paid a lot of money now, I think with the amount of money being paid, I would imagine it's an exclusive deal. Like when you sign with Fanatics, you're an exclusive Fanatics signer, and I think that probably is a sports card thing as well. That's going to be crazy, right? I mean, if the top 2 QBs are not signing in Panini, it's going to really, like Global says, if the Chase player isn't in the checklist, it's going to crush them. They'll be in the checklist, just not as an autograph. How long of a career do you say 7'4" Wembanyama will have? I'll say be lucky if he plays 10 years. Ricky, it's a great question. And here's your clippable moment. I don't think Victor Wembanyama can live up to the expectations being foisted upon him right now. I don't. I think it's almost impossible. I've seen these type of expectations only once in my life. Michael Jordan didn't even have them. Yeah, he was great coming out, but he wasn't a consensus number 1 pick. Remember, he was picked 3rd, right? People forget that. right? He was picked behind Olajuwon, which was a great pick. Hakeem was a great player, great college player. Had just just won a national championship. Great player. And then Portland picked second, and they had just taken Drexler, so they picked a big man. They picked Sam Bowie, and Jordan went third, and so he wasn't a consensus. It wasn't even Jordan. It was LeBron. LeBron literally was the only one that I remember coming in with this type of hype. As a high school student, getting the cover of Sports Illustrated, basically, anointed the king. King James, he was called, before he even got in the league. And he's won 4 championships. Say what you want about him being the GOAT or not the GOAT or top 2 or whatever it is. He has lived up to those expectations. I've seen it happen with other sports. Griffey, that's close also. Griffey was like a can't miss. Bryce Harper was supposed to be the thing. And, Bryce had a great year last year and, is finally, putting some numbers together. He can't really stay healthy. Even Bryce, if he wins a championship, a couple MVPs, it's very difficult to live up to the hype that you are it. You are the next of the generation. And what they're saying about Wembanyama now, they're basically saying he's the best prospect to ever come out. I mean, I heard, Woj and all these guys at the draft saying he's so great. He's better than anybody else. I've watched some games. What'd you say, bud? That's your phone, so turn that off because it's too loud. So, yeah, Harper. I said Uber Collector Harper, 100%. Sports Illustrated cover as a kid. Victor is. I said this on the show maybe 6 months ago. My comp for him, guys, you can go look this up. There's a guy named Ralph Sampson, right? And you're like, no, come on, no one's ever even heard of him. How can this guy who's going to be the greatest prospect ever be? And this is the same 7-footer who had skills. Had all that craziness, had you name it, but it didn't translate in the NBA. And I'm going to tell you, look, Victor, he has to have a work ethic like Giannis. But Giannis had that work ethic because he wasn't already the number one with multi-million-dollar deals and contracts and everything coming in. Giannis had to work for it. He had to bulk up. He had to get bigger. And I'm watching the games where Victor is playing. Sure, he shoots a one-legged three-pointer and got the rebound and put it back. No one on the other team was even looking at him, right? He just basically snuck through. No one was boxing out. He's playing in some, league that there's no other real skilled players. And even in that league where the skill level is lower, he's getting bodied. He's getting pushed around by bigger players. And what my fear is on him is if he doesn't take his conditioning seriously, he's a young kid, right? So if it breaks the right way and he works out and he builds up and he works on his body, fine. But right now, I think Giannis, Embiid, the big guys, I mean, even somebody like, Kevin Durant, right? He's slight. I don't think Victor could play against somebody like that's the concern, right? And the other concern is something Andrew used to say all the time, right? These guys come in here and they're already gifted everything. They have $300-400 million contracts now. It's even hard to compare them to somebody like Alex Rodriguez or Chipper Jones or Bryce Harper. I mean, those guys made money, but they made it later in their career. They weren't making that coming into the league. Not the kind of money the Victor Wembanyama is going to be, he's going to have all the money in the world. It's kind of like Zion. Zion's made enough money where his great-grandkids never have to work. And he's hardly playing, right? Everything has to break right. Manny, I would body him, 100%. I would stick my head in his belly button. He's like 3 feet taller than me. But yeah, I'd body him. It's an interesting thing. It really is. I'm going to be rooting for him. I don't want to be a naysayer. I'm going to root for him because it's good for the hobby. It's good for the sport. It's an international superstar, right? It's somebody who can, continue to expand the NBA, and it's good for products. It's good for the people who are making the stuff. But I talked about this when Luka came out, and then we followed it up every year with somebody else that people were paying crazy money for, right? Jerry, you hit it. Feels like every year it's always this guy's the best since LeBron. Now, I don't go that far, right? But if you look at what we do, right, we're buying these things. 2017, man, Tatum's the best. He's awesome. Look at this Tatum guy. And 2018, Luka's the best. He's going to be, oh, look at the prices being paid for Luka RPAs. And then 2019, whoa, it's Zion and Ja. This 1-2 punch is amazing. They're the best since forever. Zion's a one in a generation type player. Look what he did. He blew out his own shoe. Why that's relevant, I have no idea. And then the following year, this LaMelo and Edwards. Oh my God, this is great. These guys, it's like watching Jordan, and the ceiling on Edwards is crazy. Everybody at the National buying his cards. Oh, and he's in movies too. And then Cade Cunningham, this guy's a stud. He's going to be the best of all time. Cade Cunningham. And then don't sleep on this rookie class here. Jalen Williams, Paolo Banchero. He's 6'9" and big. He's basically LeBron. He's awesome. Look at the numbers he's putting up. So, yeah, Jerry, it's like every single year it's the same exact thing. And nobody really ever lives up to it. Nobody does. And I know it's too early to know what Paolo Banchero is going to be. I don't want to crap on the guy. But it's just another year, another name. It's the same stuff. And you got to be careful, right? Because who's telling you all this stuff? Right? People on ESPN who want you to keep watching ESPN and want you to watch the games. People in the NBA are talking about how great he is because they want you to watch their product. They want you to watch games. They want you to buy jerseys. People in the hobby want you to think that Wembanyama is the greatest. Hell, those are the same people who tell you Chronicles is the best product that's ever come out. So you got to go in and break it with them when they take their shirts off. So take it all with a grain of salt, and realize Wembanyama might not be the best player in a generation. I hope he is, but it's going to be tough. Everything's got to break right. Tim Duncan will mentor him. We talked about that. We definitely did. And it is a great franchise, a great coach, right? Pop. Talk about, a guy who's great for the big man. I mean, he was coaching in the 80s with Robinson, in the 90s and 2000s with Tim Duncan, and now he gets to coach Victor Wembanyama, a great professional franchise. I mean, it really is set up well for him. They got a lot of, good young players. They can really build around him. But yeah, I mean, usually global, you make a good point. And it's kind of what I was saying about with Giannis, right? Steph came out. What was he, the 9th pick, right? I mean, he was a top 10 pick, but he wasn't the number 1 pick, and he was undersized and he was small, and he didn't come out and say, oh, wow, Steph is the can't miss player of the generation. Nobody was saying he was going to be the greatest shooter of all time. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes, you have to come in with a little chip on your shoulder. And maybe the rest of the draft class who's being overlooked, maybe there is that diamond in the rough in here. Maybe it's one of the Thompson twins. Maybe everybody should be going back and looking at that OTE Inception you can get for like $40 a box now instead of $185 for this box that I just paid, and get some of the Thompson twins, Asar and Amen. It looks like they're both, top 5 prospects in this year's draft. Ziggy says the way you buy current rookies, great, and sell while they're still in the news. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the way, right? It seems to be the way. Move it while it's hot, right? While people are talking about them. For a while there, you could get good money for a James Wiseman card. Remember James Wiseman? Picked ahead of LaMelo. So, yeah, man, Thompson twins are nasty. And you can get autos. You can get good stuff. We got numbered cards. Remember we opened the OTE Chrome on Whatnot? I was giving them away with, free boxes. We were doing opening. People were getting gold autos out of 99, gold autos out of 50. Brandon Miller looks nice too. It's pretty crazy to me. One of the comments that we're talking about the draft, the top 5 prospects for this year, only one of them, the kid from Alabama, was a college player. Everybody else was either international or played on either G League or OTE. Pretty crazy, right? 4 of the top 5 were either, Wembanyama's from France. You have the kid Scoot, right, who's in the G League, and you got the Thompson twins who are both OTE. Yeah, Scoot Henderson. So that was an interesting thing too, because that's not something you would have seen even a couple years ago. And it's kind of a change. It's a change that we're seeing as far as NBA feeders not necessarily going straight to college and being those guys that you see in, one and dones or in the tournament. All you need is a chance the rookie could be the next Curry, and people pay crazy. Trout's example for every Bowman first since. Ziggy, great point. And everybody buys the Bowman prospects thinking, I'm going to hang on to this guy because he could be the next Trout, Bowman Chrome. He could be the next one of these. And nobody really ever is. But yeah, I love these question and answers because 35 minutes goes by in like no time, and especially with questions coming in from folks ahead of time. I was hoping Drake would ask a question. I mean, he did. He was in here, but he didn't ask it live. I was hoping he would throw his question up there too, because sometimes people answer Drake's questions and sometimes people don't. It was not, hey, why are you bothering me about wrestling cards? When working on a deal, why is there so much weight placed on what the seller paid for a card? As a buyer, it shouldn't be my responsibility if you overpaid for a card. When you go to sell a vehicle, for example, you don't try and negotiate with the dealer with the price you paid for the car. That's Drake's question. I like that one. I don't love the car analogy. Obviously, cards are cards. The card you buy now, 5 years from now, is still in the same slab, looking the same, whereas a car is going to have miles added to it. The value depreciates. There's wear and tear on the car. So it's a little bit different, the price you paid versus what you're offering a used car for rather than a new one. But I understand the point. I think what I would say to that is it's definitely something that needs to be worked on. One of the things, yeah, Drake would ask a 20-minute question. I mean, guys, this is a cool thing on Friday. It's kind of like a lead up. I mean, the crossover is much later, but I love that. Obviously, that's like 14 hours long, and this is a half an hour. Love to do this. You guys should jump in on that. Drake usually asks questions in there, but one of the things that I don't like hearing from dealers, if I could there are a couple of sentences I'd love to cut from the vocabulary. But one of them is, I'm into it. I'm into it for. If you hear a dealer saying that, I usually think, all right, a deal's not going to happen here, right? Because that's a dealer who is not looking at the current value of the card. They're not looking at what it's really worth now, and instead they're looking at it. I'm into this card for X, so I have to get Y, right? They're saying this is what I paid for the card. It's kind of like the sunken cost is not being evaluated there. When you look at a card, if you have a card out for sale, right? If you're into the card for 100, but the card is currently selling everywhere for 60, someone else at the show is going to have it for 60, 65, 70, or it's going to be 65, 70 on eBay. It's going to be, those. So you're into it for 100, you tell the person 110, you basically shouldn't even have it there. You shouldn't even have it out for sale, right? Because I'm into it for 100, so I got to get 110. All right, well, chances are I'm not going to buy that from you because I'm just going to go find it somewhere else. So I think the point of Drake's question, and I love it, is it shouldn't really matter what someone's into a card for, what their buy-in price was. But I will tell you, and I think Drake, you're hearing this from dealers most of the time, it's on cards that are not as liquid, not as easy as I'm going to walk to another table and get it for a cheaper price, or I'm going to find this card on eBay. What someone's into it for matters, right? Somebody reached out to me about the Griffey Ruby that I showed in last week's card session, which people like that. If you want, I can run over and grab a couple of other cards. If people, in the chat want that, take 10 seconds. I can run over and show off a couple of other cards. Should have had those at the ready, but I have some nearby. If you want that, give me a little thumbs up and I'll go grab a couple more cards to show off. But I showed off this Griffey Rubies, and I basically bought the last one in that grade a year ago. There have been two others come up for sale. Mine's a PSA 8. There was a BGS 9 that came up for sale and a PSA 6. So the 9's a comparable sale, and it sold for more than mine. The 6 is not really comparable. But I'm going to tell you what I'm into it for, because there aren't comps, and it's not a card that you can go find somewhere else. It's not a card you can go and, and just price on eBay and go get it. I could almost name my price for the card. Now, I did name my price, and it was more than I paid, and the buyer passed, showing me those comps. And it was an amicable conversation, but he was not willing to pay what I wanted. I said specifically it wasn't even a card that I was trying to sell. My best pop culture card. Woo! That's a toughie. I have a lot of different pop culture cards. I have some cool Tom and Jerry cards. Yeah, they make Tom and Jerry cards from the 70s. I got some cool Tom and Jerry cards from the 70s. I have a cool 1932, I think it is, Wizard of Oz card that I bought because, the show was, like lions, tigers, and bears, Lucas tigers and bronze. That's where that came from. So I got a little spot for Wizard of Oz. How old were the comps? I mean, One sold in September of last year, one sold in August of last year, one sold in May of last year. None has sold since September of last year. But the card is not falling. I mean, it's a Griffey Rubies. It's not, I mean, each time it sells, it moves up. So not exactly old comps, not exactly, falling either. I got a bunch of pop culture cards. I got some cool Ghostbusters autographs. One from Ghostbusters 2, I got Bobby Brown. A nice little autograph. Why are hockey cards consistently rising in price yet the other big three are going down? Isn't that peculiar for a sport that nobody collects? LOL. What say you, Cage? I say that your premise is wrong. Hockey cards are not consistently rising. Certain players' cards are rising. Certain players' cards are not rising. I think if you look at a chart of Wayne Gretzky's O-Pee-Chee rookie in higher grades, 6 to 9, you'll see that card's not rising. You'll see a steady decrease, akin to anything else that rose crazy in the bubble and came down. That card mirrored Jordan 10 for a while, and it was up and then down. Kind of the same type of a chart. A lot of vintage, the same thing. Lemieux's rookie, you name it. The more modern stuff, I wouldn't say consistently rising. I would say, like everything else, there's seasonality there. And, certain players' cards have gone up with some success in the playoffs. I think a lot of it has to do with the production of it. I think a lot of it has to do with the Upper Deck is not producing a lot. And I don't think Upper Deck, it's 2023. Upper Deck is still putting out 2021 product. They're really backed up. The printers are really backed up. Even though hockey cards are the least collected of all of the 4 major sports, there's still not a ton of it out there. So even though it's not heavily collected, the supply is also significantly lower. Upper Deck is not, they're not printing crazy amounts of hockey. I think that has something to do with the pricing also. I think it's smart to buy Keldon Johnson cards right now, since the Spurs will get a lot of TV games next year. Maybe Devin Vassell might be a better one. Sneaky good beginning of the year here, and no one was really looking at it. Upper Deck's always backed up with marble cards. I heard a rumor about Upper Deck, by the way. I heard a rumor about why their cards aren't being printed, and it also has Fanatics at the helm. Give me 30 seconds. Let me see if I can find some fun cards to show you guys, okay? Give me 30 seconds. If Drake's still here, he's going to like one. Okay. For those of you guys who listen to the show, you'll recognize this one because I talked about it. So this is the infamous Peyton Manning card. This is number 56 out of 100. It's the Flair Showcase Legacy Row 0 Peyton rookie. This is I believe, a Pop 1. I think there might be a BGS 10 of this. Hard to disagree with Cage. It's okay. You've been collecting hockey for a long time. I look at hockey charts, just overall index charts, hockey cards. I look at Austin Matthews cards because I gave him as a play. I look at some of the rookie cards. I look at OV's cards. And I do see just varied charts on them. So it's interesting stuff. So check that out right there. We got a little Manning. This card I paid a lot for. Probably too much for it. I think if I sold it now, I probably would sell it at a loss, which is sad. But it happens. It happens in life. This is one that is kind of teetering on the keep pile, not keep pile. If there's any Pokemon fans out there, I talk about this card a lot because people don't know what it is. That's Chansey, little lucky egg. That's a first edition PSA 10. Very difficult card. It's the lowest pop PSA 10 for the first edition set. So anybody who's building that set, this is the bottleneck. Everybody knows what that is when you try to make sets, right? This is the bottleneck card, right? There's only as many sets available out there as this card is available out there. It's just a tough one to get. And let's see what else we got. Let's see what's in the mystery pack. I've showed you guys these before. So there's my Rice PSA 10. It's a fun one. I can't show everything. Maybe I'll show one more. My Rice PSA 10. Yeah, that's a nice one. And then this one here, another one that I don't know exactly what to do with. I showed this one, I posted about it. That's my LeBron Chrome Refractor in pristine 10. Interesting card. I don't know what to do, man. Beckett's still silent. Makes me a little sad. I wish they would come out and do something already. Was it me that had Goonies autos? Yes, Global. I collect Goonies stuff. I love Goonies. As a matter of fact, I'm working. Guys, got to give me thumbs up on this one if you like this in the chat. I got 20-something people in here now. I'm talking to the guy who bought the Goonies house to maybe have him on the show for like 5 minutes and talk about what he's going to do with the house from the Goonies movie. It's not sports cards. It's not baseball, football. It's not Wembanyama. And I don't know whether or not the overall audience would care about me geeking out about something like that, but that was like the movie of my childhood. That's like Stranger Things for me. I think it's cool as hell. And I think that guy would come on the show and kind of talk about what he's doing there with the Goondocks, with the house. Maybe if he'll, put a little spot there where people can come and do the truffle shuffle at the specific spot where Chunk did the truffle shuffle. That would be fantastic, right? It would be a lot of fun. Manning would be considered a legend if he won 5 Super Bowls. Yes, and he didn't win 5 Super Bowls, so that's what makes it tough. I have, a Chunk auto. I have a really cool mouth auto in SGC Slab with a 10 on the card and a 10 on the auto. I don't think my Chunk auto would do that. I don't think it would 10-10, so I just have it raw right now. But what can you do? 2's not enough compared to Brady, 100% right. All right, guys, I'll get some more cards to show. This was a fun one, right? A little longer. We started off with an open. If you weren't here, Ian opened this Bowman Inception. I think it just came out in the last couple of days, just to maybe give you guys a quick little Wembanyama hunt. And he didn't get that, but just to kind of show you guys what these look like. He did get a numbered CJ Stroud out of 199. His autos were Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia and JJ Starling out of Notre Dame. Not Wembanyama, not what we were looking for $185, but it is what it is, Friday opening, we had some fun. We opened up a box of Prism basketball also when he first got home, and we really didn't get anything good in that at all. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. We'll try to do this again next week, maybe, and maybe try to make it a regular thing. It is my favorite episode because you guys get to be the stars. Thanks, everybody. That's another episode of The Hobby with Cage. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, everybody.